Bonus: manage your emotions. When you start to talk because you're upset, worried, frustrated, you may shout, cry, even hyperventilate. Remember, men receive different messages growing up as children. Most have been taught not to show their emotions. Because this is unfamiliar territory to those men, they have a difficult time dealing with emotions in others. Because they feel helpless, because they do not know what to do, they very frequently withdraw. Excerpted from the Results Proven System for Fantastic Sex and Emotional Intimacy After Prostate Cancer Treatment, TM. Think for a change. He isn't a child, I thought to myself, as Larry, one of the participants in a How to Think for a Change webinar I was conducting, volunteered to do an integration exercise. The majority of things he told me he wanted help on came down to making decisions and acting upon them. Both were self-management issues. However, true self-development and self-management are skill sets in and of themselves. They are rooted in developmental processes that start early in life and are expanded upon through education and further nurtured through life experience. For most of us, though, we really did not get it. So when a major life crisis comes along, we run for cover with our coping mechanisms, our well-rehearsed and deep narrative of why and how. I knew it would be useful to start from within his own model of the world as a reference for resources he already possessed, attitudes, knowledge, and emotional competencies that are necessary to do whatever one wants to do. My choice was to concentrate on the specifics of when he was working and functioning well and build on successful distinctions from his past. From past interactions, I knew he had worked from home as an architectural design consultant for a number of years. He obviously had some cash flow as evidenced by discretionary money for enrollment in this series. He clearly had the ability to think, to make choices, to prioritize, and to have, at least in some situations, a degree of control over choices and actions. In other words, I presupposed he was an adult and had effective resources and some contextual instances in his life we could use. When you're sitting in your work area and are preparing a customized proposal for a client and you are pleased with how things are going, who is the adult in the room? He looked to the right and then to the left, and I again asked him, "Who is the adult in the room?" "I am," he said. Make note of that. In fact, write it out on a number of post-it notes and stick it in places you will see it when you look around your workspace or take a break. Whenever you get in a stuck place or a pity party, look at a post-it note and ask the question, "Who is the adult in the room?" His whole physiology changed. We exchanged a couple of pleasantries and I moved on to the next module. A few months later, I received a note from him stating that he thought I was nuts to tell him to write that crazy question on a post-it, but he did. And on the very first day, he had a confrontational call from a client. In the middle of the call, I looked up at that stupid little note, and as I read the question, I realized that my client is frequently not an adult. He needs drama and crises, and he loves winding me up, and I usually fall for it, but not on that day. I just started laughing and explained to him about the post-it note and this nutty guy's course I went to. And, which isn't always the case, we ended up having a very civil conversation. He went on to write about other things he had decided to change and was doing well simply because he remembered that it was him who was in charge, that it was his life, and that he was a fully functioning adult. Would you believe, with this simple question, all kinds of inquiries and thoughts came to mind? Do I have an adult part? Am I have an adult? When and where am I an adult? When and where am I still acting like a child? Where am I taking responsibility? And where am I avoiding responsibility? And can you imagine that question starting to pop up into projects you are working on? And the simple question itself modifying and generating the skillful and decisive adult responses to things upon which you are working? To your delight, You getting better without having to work hard on yourself? Way, way cool. What I should or should not think about. No values imposed on life, on what I should or should not think about. No hidden suggestions about what to change. Simply a question that is self-generated of your own answers within. Included in this exercise. Just create those post-it notes and stick them up, or you will see them refer to them a few times a day, occasionally if you like to contemplate the question, especially if you get stuck or are in trouble in some manner. That's it. There is more to it that I share in my results-proven system for fantastic sex and emotional intimacy after prostate cancer treatment trademark program. And I have many people that have only read this one excerpt from the program, writing me about their successes of simply using this one phrase. I look forward to you being a new thrilled reader who will also write me about your experience using this one powerful inquiry. Sexercise. Recall of an upsetting situation with your partner. Notice as you go to that place how you're feeling. Notice your breathing and any tightness in your body. Your feelings on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very intense. Now, reread the Think for a Change, this time it imagining it is you responding to my question, who is the adult in the room? It sucks? Can't find an adult? Do an as-if as Jean Houston, PhD, did with Hillary Clinton when the Clintons moved to the White House. Wanting to be at her best in her president's wife role, Hillary asked for help with some of her concerns. Dr. Houston asked her who one of her favorite mentors was, either someone she knew or had studied. Eleanor Roosevelt was the answer. Dr. Houston suggested Hillary practice and create a rich as-if internal resource for when she felt out of her comfort zone as the First Lady. Doing so is now history as to how Hillary Clinton is able to calmly deal with extreme pressure. Take on the body language of a person you admire that is calm under pressure. How would that person be setting? How would they be breathing? What would they say? And how would that sound? How do they look? How are you now feeling? More practice with as if. Imagine you have finished reading this book, and you are sharing the excitement of your discoveries, the ways you now think about and enjoy sex. Take on the body language, as if you are that future you. How are setting? How are you breathing? What are you saying? How does it sound? How do you look? How are you now feeling?